Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I hope everyone's doing well. My name is Pretty, and I'm Clarity Cuts, and I've got another video today. Before we begin that, though, I want to thank all of you. Many of you have reached out and are sending me messages privately in showing your support, and I'm very grateful to all of you. You know, those of you who watch, for your likes, your thumbs up, your comments. And that's truly why I'm doing this. So many of us are confused and, don't know which direction to turn to. And so as I'm, getting these messages come in, I'm just sharing with you all. And I'm hoping that it's the message that you're hearing. They're not polished videos by any means. But it doesn't matter to me. What matters is that my tone and my message is getting out there and hopefully, helping many of you. And I'm hoping that you resonate with the messages that are being, put out there. So thank you all so much for being here and giving me your time when you could be doing many other things. Truly, truly, I'm grateful. All right. So with that said and done, let's talk about this video about our youths and how they've come in different. And I feel this is quite an important topic to cover. So yeah, many of us are feeling, that these children are different, through our conversations, conversations with our children, through hearing from other parents about their children, that they're different. They're different from us. And whether we can put words to it or not, we're really feeling this. They didn't come in carrying the same fear structure that we were taught. That survival before, your inner knowing. Just keep going. Grin and bear it, swallow it, and just keep going mentality that we were raised with, conditioned, programmed. I feel these are programs that, since birth have been placed on us. And these children somehow, they haven't absorbed it. Thankfully, yay. Because we're having to sort this out as adults now. We're having to release a lot of these programmings of fear, shame, guilt, survival, scarcity. They somehow bypassed it. And I'm so happy that they have. Like, it's amazing. These children of ours are magnificent. I'm so in love with all of them. They're all unique. And they just have this inner knowing. They teach me so much when I talk to them, when I work with them. They teach me so much about me, about the world, about just their hearts and their souls. So it's really quite beautiful to see. And, they don't have this just endure it and go on mentality that we have. Many of them, they have this courage, that seems very unfamiliar to us. It feels unfamiliar to us. They're willing to fail. They're willing to change direction in a heartbeat. And unlike us, where we have to methodically, plan things and analyze it to death and, let's wait a few months before we move forward. These children are just going without thinking. They're just following their heart, their inner knowing, their inner compass. And it's so beautiful to see, a little frightening. I have 2 children of my own, and I'll talk a little bit about them later, but, it's refreshing to me. I don't know about you all. They've grown up in this fast world. where everything's instant information, instant communication, instant access to people, to ideas, possibilities. Their nervous system adapted to speed because it's normal for them. It's not a good or bad thing. It just is. And yet, what I'm finding is that despite how capable they are, they feel like they don't fit into a world that was handed to them by us. And they sense, with no words attached, that something about this world, it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't fit with them. And they don't know where they belong anymore. They don't know where they fit in. They don't know what path is real. And they don't want to give their life force to something that feels empty. And many of them were guided lovingly by us parents into education. That was a safety net. The just in case. Something to fall back on. And that was our programming. That was our conditioning. That's what we were taught as we grew up. But everything is changed now. It didn't come from bad parenting. It came from, like I said, our programming. And I've heard countless stories from parents who have invested in their child's education, college, university, whatever it may be, thousands of dollars, only to find that their child in year 2 or 3 or the final year, doesn't want to complete the program, doesn't resonate with them, or they want to pivot and change direction completely. Some drop out, some reluctantly push through and finish at the request of the parents. And not because it's right, but because they don't know how to exit the system. They don't know how to exit a system that promised them, security, but no longer delivers meaning. There's no depth. And many of them, when they finally do step out, they don't want to work for anyone. And it's not out of laziness or they feel superior or entitled in any way. That's not what I'm saying. Because they can't do what we did. They can't stay at a job for 30 years and feel unfulfilled inside just to survive. They're not built that way. They didn't come in that way. We did. But they haven't. They're not able to suppress their truth, their values, their inner beliefs and knowings. They speak honestly. These children, they question authority, and good for them. We never did. We just accepted everything that was handed to us and worked with it and continued on. These children don't do that. And it's beautiful. It's wonderful to see. I love it. They refuse to sacrifice their inner knowing, life, for survival. They just won't do it. Plain and simple. It's not built in them. They can't do it. Even if they tried. It just won't work for them. Not the same way it worked for us. You see, they didn't have to unlearn fear the way we did, the way we're having to. That never fully took root in them. And I'm so grateful for that. Because fear has held us back from so much. And these children don't have it. They fear nothing. It's refreshing. But here's where the tension rises. Is that the parents are feeling frustrated. The children are feeling frustrated. Because we're trying to guide them using an old map to function in an old world that's dying, that's crumbling right before our eyes. And it's not working. Choose one linear career path, predicting our futures based on that. Well, they're all breaking down in real time. And if our children can't express it verbally, they're feeling it. They know. And they feel it first. Many of them are being pushed. Some gently, some not so gentle. To keep moving in a direction that doesn't feel aligned. A direction that's not working for them. To prepare for a world that they know, that they sense is dying. And it's not rebellion that we're witnessing from them. It's coherence. They're actually living or trying to live their life in coherence. A life based on their values, their beliefs, their inner knowing, their heart's desire. And we're pushing them off into a different direction because that's what feels right for us. That's what we think is the right thing to do. Remember, we're the ones who are programmed, not them. And their systems aren't tolerating this false path. Their bodies will not carry inauthenticity. It's not doable for them. Plain and simple. It just is. It's not a good or bad thing. It's not a right or wrong thing. And the cost of forcing them into these old frameworks, well, it's leading to confusion, to anxiety, depression, disappointment, disengagement. And that by no means is saying that, they're weak in any way, shape, or form. That's not weakness. I don't see it as that. It's because they're wired differently than us. And this doesn't mean that guidance is not needed. They still need guidance. And it doesn't mean that structure doesn't matter. It matters. But it means right now, listening is more important than directing them. Listening to them is more important than directing them. We're being asked as parents, as guides, as their elders, to release our grip on what we feel is certainty and to get curious instead. Ask your child, what do you feel called to do? Ask them what makes your soul dance. What makes your heart sing? What drains you? What lights you up? What feels honest to you? And then just listen without trying to fix anything. That's a hard one for us. Because as parents, all we want to do is make things okay for them. But in doing so, I think some of us forgot to listen, like truly listen. These belief systems that we grew up with, sacrifice, scarcity, our identity through our careers, they're just not working anymore. They're falling away as we speak. And unfortunately, this generation is standing on that rubble, not knowing which way to turn. They don't need fixing. They need understanding. They don't need more pressure. They need space to find their footing. I mean, this world is changing faster than any of us ever expected. And maybe they're not the ones that are lost. Maybe it's us. Maybe. Just throwing it out there. Maybe they're just early. Maybe they're here to show us. I see them as the leaders of New Earth. They're going to be paving the way. Maybe they're here to show us and guide us how to live in coherence and what that actually looks like. Maybe. So if this resonates with you, sit with it. Don't judge yourself. Don't judge them, but maybe recognize that something new is emerging now. And we're all just holding hands, kind of walking each other towards it. My children, my younger one graduated during COVID lockdowns. So his graduation was online, as maybe some of your children as well. And he was enrolled in college. And I just knew that, online courses was not, his thing. It wasn't going to work. Anyhow, long story short, I asked both my children to maybe consider trades. Pick a trade, anything that resonates. And so I put them both in private colleges. And it was a fast-forward program, very intense, but fast. And it was in class. And so my younger child, he did HVAC, gas technician, finished that. And he worked for about 2 years, I would say. Worked very hard, long hours, 10 to 12 hours a day sometimes. And through it all, what I didn't realize is that he started his own clothing business, clothing line. He designed it. He found a manufacturer, and launched it. That was his passion. He's always liked clothing. Ever since he was young, everything had to be proper and perfect, and the shoelaces had to be exact, equal on either side. And and then one day he announced it to me. And as a parent who's had all this programming, of education and, going out on your own, it may not work. I just, for some reason, I kept my mouth shut. I didn't say anything. I just encouraged him. I was more surprised and happy, I think, shocked that, he did all this on his own. And his company name is To The World. He thought of that himself, 2TW. And I'm not promoting him. This is not a promo video for him. It's just sharing a story. And he's doing incredibly well. He no longer does HVAC. But that helped him to get, to this point. And maybe I'll put the link below so you can see. But I'm just, so proud of him. And he's just going. And it's not through, that he doesn't have any hardship or he's not, struggling, and thriving at the same time. But he's loving it. It's his passion. It comes from his heart. And so any barriers that may come, he just plows right through them. And it's so beautiful to see. Like I said, my children raised me. I didn't raise them. They're just magnificent souls. I feel all the children are magnificent. And my older one, he did welding, but now what he does is race car simulation, and it's kind of a new and up and coming thing, but he programs these simulations that is, you know, people are spending thousands and thousands of dollars on. I knew nothing of this. For race car drivers, I guess he builds the specs and all the simulation is exact, exactly as their car. The air pressure tires and the way the car curves and the steering wheel tightness. I can't explain it very well, guys. But he loves it. And that sings to his heart. And so, yeah, I did have some thoughts and, inhibitions, but I didn't put it on them because they were mine. I owned those thoughts. I owned those fears of what if. And I didn't want to put that energy on them. I just wanted them to fly. Because if your heart sings and you light up, when you speak about what you do, I think that's correct. And these children just know. They know something different than we know. So, I've realized also through my journey that where my heart is with the children, of all ages. And that's my mission here, is to work with them. My heart lights up. My soul sings when I'm in front of children. And I just am amazed by them. Their magnificence, their souls. They're so bright and they just know things different than we know. And I'm learning from them every day about me, about them. And it's beautiful. And at some point, I've been guided at some point in the near future, to maybe open up a free weekly Zoom meeting for these children who are stuck. A place for them to be seen and heard. So I'm not sure of, all the details yet. But it's my mission and it's my calling and it's what I've been asked to do from Creator. So at some point I will be launching that. I'll keep you posted with that. But if, if that's of interest to you, please reach out to me. Right? The more feedback I get, the more, I can move in that direction. But the direction will be children, for sure. And just helping them along and listening to them. And in those, containers, they'll meet like-minded people. And they can share their ideas and their stories. And you just never know from there. That's how it begins. So I throw that out there for you all. Again, like I said, I'm not sure, but I will let you know once I've, finalized all of that. So that's it for this video. That's it for today. I thank you all so much for being here, giving me your time. I'm sending you all so much love. I love you all very much. I'm very grateful, and I'm wishing you all a beautiful day or night wherever you are in the world. We'll see you on the next video. Bye.